Capone, no. No. All right. All right, you guys. Final broadcast of the night. Hey, Visha, blessings to you. Our declaration is not as bad as it seems. That is going to be our declaration. As you guys can see, hey, Miss Allen, I am back home. So it was not don't have to replace my tire, you guys. That's the update. I do not have to replace the tire. I did not have to replace it. It was just simply, it was a screw in my tire. So they plugged it and I had enough to get something to eat. I had a few dollars left over. And so I went to Kroger and got a frozen pizza, man. And so it is currently in the oven and I am just so very grateful. Hey, Miss Baldwin, it's not as bad as it seems. The latter part of this day has been so much better than like the beginning of this day. I don't think, well, y'all probably do understand, like, hey, Natasha, blessings to you. Listen, the beginning of this day was hellacious. It was one of those, I just was not surrendered. And I didn't even realize I wasn't being surrendered to what the Lord wanted. But this latter part of this day has been so very like revelatory concerning like just every single thing that I've been believing God for. One of the things is I was leaving like the place when they plugged my tire, they put air in the other tire. That one of the things that the Lord told me was, you know, a lot of times our emotions will heighten something up to be worse than it really is, which is why he oftentimes tells us not to go by what it looks like. I'm going to say that again. A lot of times our emotions about how we feel about something, right, will hype something up to be way worse than what it really is. A lot of times our fears cannot just flow. A lot of times our fears will hype a thing up to be worse than what it really is. And so what happens is a lot of times, like, because fear is already tainted, whatever the circumstance is, whatever the situation is, as worst case scenario, or we've tainted it already with our emotions, we will deem it worst case scenario. And so in doing that, we don't even allow God the chance to change our perception because we've made our mind up unconsciously that it is going to be literally a worst case scenario. That was actually one of the things that God was telling me, because if I can be transparent, I was sitting at the car place just waiting, you guys know I was broadcasting, just waiting for them to like take my tire, my car back to see what it was that was causing the leak in my tire. And as I was kind of just sitting there, because the day had already been so very rough, because I had already had like so many, sorry y'all, but because I'd had so many like different fears concerning like the future, anxiety concerning the future, being overwhelmed, and not really even giving God time to like show his hand. But because all of that had already taken place, my mindset, like when I got to the mechanic, was worst case scenario. Now they about to tell me I got to get a brand new tire. God, I already got to worry about rent. I already got this. That was like the direction that like my mind was going. But the thing was, when I was sitting there, the Lord told me, don't think worst case scenario. And I knew that in that moment, what he was saying is, I understand how today's went. I know how today's been emotional. I know certain fears have kind of come to the surface. They've kind of crept to the surface. But in this instance, don't think worst case scenario. Am I making sense? And so literally what I saw When I talked to the guy, I said, listen, is it a screw? The first thing he said was, I said, where is it? He said, oh, it's just a screw. You don't have to get another tire. He said it so nonchalantly. And then he jokingly said, we outside today. I'm like, sir, if you don't just fix this tire and let me go. But my fear had already tainted something that I didn't even know how it was going to play out. I had already cursed it mentally, without even speaking that word curse. But the thing is, so a man thinketh, so is he. So like if you allow your mind, to be led or misled by the negative emotions that you feel or the fears that kind of come to the surface, like you're going to look at every single situation that you go through where God says, wait on me. And you're going to think worst case scenario. You're going to doom it before God even has a chance to touch it. And so as I was kind of just spending time as I was leaving the car dealership, the Lord just continued to repeat, it's not as bad as it seems. And I knew that like in that moment, what God was talking to me about and dealing with me about was the situation with rent. I knew that in that moment, what God was saying is, I know what it looks like, but it is literally not as bad as it seems. But here's the thing. I didn't get to the point of like being able to receive God saying that and to be able to actually see that it's not as bad as it seems. I pray that I'm making sense until I got to a place of peace. Until I allowed those negative emotions to stop taking control of my thought process. And I think that a lot of people, because they don't do this, we hear people say things like when you tell them, oh, God's going to do it, they'll be like, I hope so. Matter of fact, because I've been so emotional, there have been several moments where someone will tell me something and I've had to catch myself and refrain myself from saying, oh, I hope he does it. I pray that I'm making sense. It is a real thing that people say, oh, I hope so. It's because in their mind, they've already chosen to let their emotions dictate or, judge what they feel God is going to do. And honestly, when you say stuff like that, you already think that God has failed you. You already think that God has failed you. And so as God is telling me like it's not as bad as it seems and he's leading my mind to think about the rent situation, he asked me this question. He said, what date is it? I said, Lord, it's the 3rd. He said, I said, it's the 3rd day of the month. He said, when is the last day to pay it without a late fee? I said, Lord, the last day to pay it without a late fee is Sunday. And you know what God told me? The Lord said, you're tripping over what you need for rent. He said, but when it came down to like when you were about to get that home, he said, did I not give you what you needed like within hours? It was literally like a few hours. He said, what about when I shifted you from the wilderness? Did I not meet the need when it was time? And as he was showing me that and telling me that, what God told me then was this situation is no different. He said, it's no different. He said, did I not, when you moved out of your mom's house, did I not give you $1,400 so that you can move into the first apartment? And it came the day of. He said, when it came time when you were pursuing that house and you needed that $2,580 when your offer had been accepted, the Lord said, did I not give you the money that you needed? He didn't make me wait. And the Lord said, the same way that I've done that, what makes you think that I won't do this? What makes you think that I've changed? You see, and I'm going to tell y'all the number of what my rent is with like the fees and stuff they add. It's like $1,418. And so God putting those numbers, it was $1,400 when I moved out of my mom's house. It was $2,580 when I was getting ready to pursue the house. And now it's $1,400. I pray that I'm making sense. He said, what makes you think that this is any different? And then you know what he told me? He said, humble yourself. It's not as bad as it seems. A lot of times we blow things up to be much worse than what they are because of our own emotions and because of our lack of faith, our doubts, our fears. And I believe that on tonight, I know I'm not the only person that's been going through these up and down battles. But I do know that what God is saying is that there are some of you guys that are dealing with things. You may not even be dealing with what I'm dealing with. It may be in another area. It may be something completely opposite of what I'm dealing with. But what I do know is that God is saying, stop letting your fears control or dictate what you feel God is going to do. The same way that God has came through for you in the past will be the same way that he comes through for you now. It'll be the same way. And then you know what he told me? He went further because God likes to flex. I don't know if y'all know that, but God has these moments where he literally likes to flex. He then goes further. He says, it was a joke moment. I ain't even gonna lie. I was quiet. He said, did I not pay your phone bill yesterday? Did I not ensure that you had the funds to get your car fixed, your tire fixed? He said, do you not have money left over for food? And then he said, if I'm taking care of all of these things, why do you think that I've forgotten about this one, about this area? And a lot of times it's so real. I was quiet as a mouse. Like he started listing all the things that he's been doing. He said, yeah, remember the phone bill? You were a day late because you forgot that it was due. He said, did I not pay it? He said, oh, okay. Then the next day, today, you're tired. He said, did I not bring you the resources that you need? He said, you were talking about you didn't really have nothing to eat. You ain't really ate today. But do you not have funds left over to get you something to eat? And he says, if I've done all these things, I've taken care of all these things to make sure that you have what you need, why do you feel that I'm overlooking this area? And I think that is a valid question for so many of y'all. Because some of y'all are just like me. You're so focused on the main thing, the thing that's been eluding you. You're so focused on the main thing that just seems like it's taking forever and a day. And on top of it taking forever and a day, you kind of feel like, Lord, is it ever going to happen? Is it not going to happen? I'm having to go through, I'm having to endure. But the Lord says, yeah, you may be struggling. This is for somebody. You may be struggling financially, but does God not make sure you have a roof over your head? Does he not make sure that you got gas? Does he not make sure that you got clothes? Does he not make sure that you're able to eat? Oh, but you think he forgot about that main thing, that thing that grieves your heart. You thought he forgot about that, but he's taking care of everything else. What makes us think that he's not going to do it? I'm talking about God. Listen, humble pie does not digest easily. Facts. God straight up put it to me like that. I was so quiet. When God was telling me this, I was so quiet. I couldn't say nothing. Just repent. He said, oh, your car, you're worried about your phone getting cut off. Did I not pay it? Flat tire. Did I not make sure that the tire wasn't pierced in a way that was beyond repairable? But did you not have the money that you needed to get it fixed? Oh, you was complaining about food. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that too. You were sad about it. Did I not make sure that you had money left over to go and get? I just literally went to go got a frozen pizza. God told me pizza yesterday. I ain't get it. I ain't had the faith to get it. I didn't. Somebody didn't catch that. He told me pizza yesterday, but I didn't have the faith to get it. Okay. Y'all don't want to talk back to me. He told me pizza yesterday, but I didn't have the faith to get it. I said, no, I'm not tooling. I'm good. I ain't doing it. I'm speaking honestly. So I'm asking you what God asked me. If he's taking care of all the things that you have needed, if he's taking care of all of the things that you have needed, you got food, you got gas, you got a place to rest your head, what makes you think that God won't do that one thing that he promised you? And for many of us, God be taking care of the things that we don't even be thinking about. He be taking care of the things that we don't even think about. Okay. Okay. So why wouldn't he do the thing that you've been thinking about? Why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he do it? Why wouldn't he bring that promise to pass? He doing everything else. Why wouldn't he do that? I'll wait. I will wait. Why would he not do that one thing? I just came here tonight to tell you, it ain't as bad as your fear's been hyping it up to be. It's not as bad as your fears have been hyping it up to be. I'm going to say it again. It ain't as bad as your fears have been hyping it up to be. It ain't as bad as your emotions have been hyping it up to be. And that's the broadcast. It is not as bad as it seems. I just wish I had somebody to type that in. I just wish I had somebody to type that in. It is not as bad as it seems. Come here. Come on, just come on. Y'all, he just has to get in this chair with me. Why he thinks we both can fit? Y'all, I don't know. Tell the people, hey. Tell them, hey, you want a cameo? Tell them, hello, Capone. Tell them, hey. It's not as bad as it seems. Say it like you mean it. It's not as bad as it seems. Okay, son. It's not as bad as it seems. It's absolutely not. Sir, you're not even sitting down. It's not as bad as it seems. Top. Please get down. It's not as bad as it seems. Capone. Really, sir? It's not as bad as it seems. It's not as bad as it seems. So the next time you start thinking worst case scenario, yeah, you. The next time you start thinking worst case scenario, I want you to remind yourself of everything else God has been doing for you. I want you to remind yourself of all the other things that you needed and he freely provided. You didn't even have to pray and ask for some of these things that he's done. You didn't even have to pray about it. You didn't even have to say, God, I need this. He automatically did it. I'm going to say that again. The next time you want to start thinking worst case scenario about whatever that one area is or those 2 or 3 areas are. I want you to start reminding yourself of how God has taken care of you thus far. Because I know I'm going to be doing that. And that's it. That is the broadcast. To those of you guys that feel led to sow, you can sow. The seed title is It's Not As Bad As It Seems. Right now, I don't need anything, but I do have to work towards getting rent covered. I do know that I need gas. With all the driving, I had to drive back there, had to drive back here. I do know that, like, I do need gas. And I'm not going anywhere else tonight, though, y'all. That's not happening. But that is the only thing that I know that I'm going to need. But right now, that's it. To those of you guys that are sowing, the seed title, it's not as bad as it seems. It's not as bad as it seems. So that is it. If you need prayer for anything, the links are there. If you want to sow, if you feel led to sow, if you know you need to sow, if you know this word was for you, go sow. Thank you so much, Miss Allen. And so that is it, y'all. I love y'all. I am rooting for you guys. And so till next time, y'all. Peace.